$4,400 for a Meta-S Tudor Black Bay monochrome. You pay almost $10,000 for a Rolex Submariner. And a Royal Oak Extra Standard costs like $36,000. Cheap is not a word that applies.
The watch is often blurred. However, when you come to Guangzhou, you cannot see any problem just by looking at the appearance. What you need to be careful about is that the low quality movement inside will be sold at a high price.
My suggestion is you can try it first or buy it for a legal way. I'm Sean. See you next time.
95% of the world's watches are made here, including the one you're wearing right now. Many big brand watches are produced or sourced for parts from here. This place is Shenzhen City, the world watch capital city. And in Shenzhen, you must not miss this factory.
Asking y'all should receive. Tisa, where are the watch manufacturers? I did some digging and I found the watch manufacturers. There is a new scandal coming out of the luxury watch division. Listen, if you want to keep going to Rolex, if you want to keep going to AP and spending your money, go and do that. However, industry insiders are coming out, and I have their videos. People have even been fired from it for lifting the hood away from the
Rolex just did something no one ever expected. Something that's turning the entire luxury watch world upside down. They've officially slashed their prices, and we're not talking about a small seasonal discount or a limited time sale. This was a full-on price drop that hit without warning, sending shockwaves through dealers, collectors, and fans around the globe. People are confused, some are thrilled, but many are just angry. Why would the most powerful name in watches suddenly backpedal on their premium pricing? Turns out the answer came straight from China. Viral videos and investigative content from Chinese watchmakers just blew the lid off Rolex's secret game. They exposed the real cost of production and showed the world how these timepieces are made for hundreds, not tens of thousands. As the backlash grows and the market panics, one question remains. Is Rolex finally paying the price for decades of unchecked luxury greed? It all started with a few jaw-dropping factory videos uploaded online by Chinese watchmakers. These weren't amateur uploads. They were detailed, technical, and backed by years of experience in horology. The footage showed how precise, high-quality watches are being made using the same materials and movement architecture Rolex has used for years, only at a fraction of the price. These Chinese factories even broke down the cost of parts, labor, and logistics, revealing that a watch with similar specifications to a Rolex could be produced for under $500. The videos went viral almost instantly, with millions of views across TikTok, YouTube, and Weibo. Tech influencers jumped in to verify the claims. Reddit threads filled with side-by-side comparisons. Even luxury purists had to admit the similarities were shocking. Suddenly, the myth of Rolex's superior craftsmanship was under attack. And for the first time in decades, the company's invincible brand image looked vulnerable. Facing a storm of criticism and viral content questioning its value, Rolex decided to take action, but not in their usual bold style. They didn't release a public statement or hold a flashy press event. Instead, authorized dealers quietly received updated pricing sheets. Customers began noticing that flagship models like the Submariner, Datejust, and Oyster Perpetual had dropped significantly in price. Reports began surfacing showing markdowns of $1,500 to $3,000, depending on the model and region. Rolex tried to cover it up by calling it a market realignment, but almost nobody believed that spin. The timing was too perfect, and the silence too loud. It was clear this was a panic move to regain control over a spiraling narrative. By slashing prices behind the scenes, Rolex hoped to stop the bleeding without admitting fault. But in doing so, they may have just confirmed what the critics were saying all along, that their value was inflated from the start. The public's reaction to Rolex's sudden shift has been nothing short of explosive and deeply polarizing, creating waves that have rippled far beyond the watch community. On one side, new customers were ecstatic. Finally, the possibility of owning a Rolex without breaking the bank or sacrificing a mortgage seemed within reach. For years, the brand had been synonymous with exclusivity and unattainable luxury, but now a door was opening for a broader audience. This influx of eager buyers celebrated what felt like a democratization of status, a rare chance to possess a symbol of success without the previously prohibitive price tag. It was a breath of fresh air for those who had admired Rolex from afar, but felt locked out of its prestige. They could now aspire to own a watch that had long been out of reach, and many saw this as a moment of victory, a sign that luxury was becoming more inclusive and attainable. However, the reaction from loyal fans and longtime collectors was almost the exact opposite. Many felt blindsided by the change, shocked and even betrayed by what they perceived as a sudden and inexplicable devaluation of their prized possessions. For years, these enthusiasts had poured tens of thousands of dollars into acquiring Rolex watches, often viewing them as not just luxury accessories, but as long-term investments, timeless, pieces that would hold or even increase in value. The emotional and financial attachment ran deep. To see the value of those watches plummet almost overnight felt like a personal loss, an erosion of trust that many weren't ready to accept. For some, it wasn't just about money. It was about the pride of ownership and the identity tied to wearing something seen as exclusive and prestigious. Social media quickly became a battleground where these conflicting emotions played out vividly. Platforms like Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok exploded with heated discussions and impassioned debates. On one side, the younger buyers, who had long felt excluded by Rolex's traditionally high prices and opaque practices, voiced their excitement and support for greater access and transparency. They shared stories about finally purchasing their first Rolex without draining their savings or going into debt. For them, this was a victory for fairness in a world where luxury often felt like an impenetrable fortress. On the other side, seasoned collectors and Rolex loyalists expressed dismay and frustration, lamenting what they saw as the brand's fall from grace. Many posted nostalgic memories of Rolex's former reputation and vowed never to buy from the brand again, feeling that their trust had been irreparably damaged. These divided voices clashed constantly, fueling a cultural schism that stretched across the luxury watch community. The online forums, once peaceful havens for watch enthusiasts, turned into arenas of fierce debate. Memes mocking Rolex's misstep spread like wildfire, with some influencers joking, "Rolex just got humbled by Alibaba," poking fun at the rising influence of affordable Chinese alternatives. The humor was sharp but underscored a serious truth. The old status quo was crumbling. The chaos was palpable, and amid all the noise, Rolex itself remained conspicuously silent. The brand offered no official explanation or reassurance, leaving fans and critics alike to speculate wildly about what was really happening behind the scenes. This silence, whether strategic or accidental, has cost Rolex dearly, more than any price adjustment or product release ever could. In a world driven by instant information and constant communication, staying quiet was interpreted by many as evasiveness or indifference, deepening the distrust. Rolex's quiet collapse in pricing and prestige didn't just affect their own reputation, it rattled the entire luxury watch industry to its core. Brands like Omega, Audemars Piguet, and Patek Philippe are now on high alert, watching carefully to see what happens next. If the supposedly untouchable king of watches can be publicly questioned and lose its grip on the market, no luxury brand can consider itself immune. Industry insiders are beginning to voice what many had only whispered behind closed doors. That luxury, for years, has leaned far more heavily on branding and perception than on delivering actual, tangible value. The once untouchable pillars of exclusivity and inflated markups are crumbling under the weight of modern consumer awareness and skepticism. The new generation of luxury buyers isn't willing to accept the old rules anymore. Millennials and Gen Z consumers, empowered by technology and global connectivity, are asking tougher questions and demanding more honest answers. They're choosing to put their money into microbrands, Chinese alternatives, and custom watches that promise both style and substance without the inflated price tags. On social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, creators are proudly showcasing timepieces from brands like Seagull and Pagani Design, as well as small indie watchmakers who emphasize transparency, craftsmanship, and ethical production. This isn't just a passing trend, it's a genuine revolution in how luxury is perceived and consumed. In this rapidly changing landscape, Rolex's moment of upheaval serves as both a cautionary tale and a wake-up call. The company's silence amid the chaos has only exacerbated the damage, allowing critics to dominate the conversation and shaping the narrative in ways that may be difficult to reverse. The luxury watch world is at a crossroads, with new players emerging and old giants forced to rethink their strategies. What was once a carefully controlled and almost sacred industry is now open to scrutiny, competition, and disruption. Ultimately, the fallout from Rolex's decision is about more than just watches. It's about the shifting power dynamics between brands and consumers, the democratization of luxury, and the demand for authenticity in a world saturated with marketing. The explosion of interest in affordable, high-quality alternatives signals a broader cultural shift that could redefine what it means to own a luxury product in the 21st century. As the industry evolves, the brands that listen, innovate, and embrace transparency will likely be the ones that thrive. The others may become relics of a time when exclusivity was more important than substance, and perception mattered more than reality. Rolex's journey is far from over, but its recent challenges mark the beginning of a new chapter, one that could reshape luxury forever. Market analysts are calling Rolex's move both bold and desperate. In the short term, cutting prices might reduce backlash and stimulate sales. But in the long term, it could ruin the one thing Rolex has always sold better than watches: status. Luxury thrives on perception. The moment you price your products like they're regular commodities, you risk losing that aura of exclusivity. Experts say the smarter move would have been transparency. Instead of ducking criticism, Rolex could have led the conversation. They could have broken down their pricing model, highlighted craftsmanship, and proven why they charge what they do. But by going quiet and reacting instead of leading, they gave power to the critics. Some believe Rolex needs to pivot hard into innovation and storytelling if they want to survive this storm. Others say the damage is already done, and now it's just about damage control. Either way, the pressure is on like never before. This whole situation could change how luxury works forever. For decades, consumers accepted outrageous markups because the mystery made it feel special. But now, the internet has shattered that illusion. Pricing secrets, production processes, and behind-the-scenes breakdowns are just one viral video away from exposure. Buyers aren't just spending money, they're doing research. They want to know what they're really paying for. And they're not afraid to call out the BS. What happened to Rolex could easily happen to Gucci, Louis Vuitton, or even Tesla. We're entering an era where branding alone won't cut it. Luxury brands will need to prove value, back up their prices, and be ready for scrutiny. Chinese manufacturing and smart consumers are leveling the playing field. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. The age of blind luxury worship might finally be over, and what comes next could be a more honest, exciting market for everyone. Now it's your turn. Did Rolex deserve to be exposed like this? Are you more likely to buy a Rolex now that the price is lower? Or does this whole thing make you trust the brand less? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. And hey, don't forget to smash that like button if you live for juicy luxury drama. Subscribe for more wild breakdowns, viral exposés, and insider stories the big brands don't want you to hear. Rolex just blinked, and in doing so, they might have changed the entire luxury world. Reputation, trust, and image. These are the real currencies now. And Rolex is losing them fast. We'll keep following this story as it unfolds. Because in this new era of luxury, one thing's for sure, the truth always has a price.